Yeah, usually I get the little notice and I just realized I didn't. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Good, thank you. I got sidetracked here. How about you, Adam? Anything for you?
I guess difficulties trying to connect with the liver and spleen. You know, it seemed like it was stronger when we were working on it last week in class, and then difficult to connect with while practicing. Almost a sense of, I think, trying too hard, you know, looking for it too much.
Yeah. That can get in the way.
Yeah, I found it, you know, really, instead of breathing into the sides, I thought I was breathing into the sides, and then, you know, had a moment of, well, no, I'm really just kind of pushing my upper abdominal area out. You know, trying to find that and make that space. So
yeah,
a lot of pitfalls along the way.
Yeah.
So,
but those are good discoveries.
Right. You know, important lessons to learn. Yep,
absolutely. Good. Well, continuing onward. So in thinking about the 70% rule, we're of course thinking about too much or too little. And that rule, of course, says you just recognize what 100% is, and you don't do that. You only do 70% and leave the other 30% on the table. If you're sick or if you're damaged in some way, injured, then maybe you go down to 50%. And it's always based upon the benchmark of where you are at the moment. For example, if you are a world champion tennis player, you normally play tennis about 5 times higher than anybody else who plays tennis. And that's normal for you. But break your arm, and you can only bend your arm a little before you start screaming. And so 70% changes radically. So it's not 70% of what it was when you could swing a tennis racket and you were fine. But if your arm has been broken or injured in an accident, your 70% is dramatically reduced. So if you've just had a heavy disease or a major fever, you'll not be able to perform your original 70% either. So you have to figure out where you are at that moment and what your 70% is now. So I'm thinking that most of you all have a basic sense of due diligence and you want to do well. So understand something. You can't say that for the whole human race. A lot of people just want to get by. And most of you here will always try and do much, much more and never too little. The problem with people who want to do really well is that they push themselves more than they should. And that gets them into big trouble with stress because they are always pushing themselves more than makes any kind of sense. So what is too much and what is too little when you do a movement? You can't do too little since you will have done nothing, in which case, why did you bother to do it? The problem is going to be on the too much side. But you have to adjust what is too much and what is too little for your particular condition that day, at that time you're practicing. Because your 70% could be bigger or smaller in the morning or in the evening. Maybe you ate some bad food, or you had to work extra, or you haven't slept for 2 days. Get a good night's sleep and it will all change. So what I'm going to ask you all to do is that for the next week, I want you to have a piece of paper and a pen with you. And I want you every once in a while, 2 or 3 times a day, just write down where you think your 70% is in anything you're doing at that moment. And I don't care what it is. Then at the end of that week, I want you to look at it, because you may begin to notice your own patterns. And if you do, that's going to be great. That can help you help your life. This is just for you to realize for yourself what is too much and what is too little, because most people never look at it to realize whether you're one of these two extremes is part of what God's playing in the clouds is about. Because you know something, gods always know exactly what to do right. And that's why they're gods, and that's why we're not. So any question about doing that? Okay. And I do really recommend that you try to do this. There's definitely a big deal. Just jot a quick note. I'm trying to do 110% here. Okay. So one of the things that's in these notes, and I'm not going to go into it, is all the other energy arts practices and what you would have learned if you had done all of them. And none of you have. So what that means is that we have to go back and put these things into God's in this particular teaching of it, so that God's can do what it's really meant to do. So all these things have to come together and are within God's. If you could fully do God's, you would have absolutely no need for the rest of the energy arts program. But the fact of the matter is that you can't suddenly do this. You have to go from baby steps to giant steps. And that is why they are introduced through the various separate Qigong programs usually, because that is the best way to do it. If you were to put everything into one program, you would have to expect it to be at least 1,000 hours. God's is an ever evolving practice. For example, Bruce said it took him almost 3 years studying with Master Liu in a room in Beijing for 3 to 6 hours every day to learn everything that was in God's. So we're trying to teach in this particular training what is in the beginning the most important, and will also form a platform for learning what's beyond it. So another way of looking at the 6 movements is that the first number of times you're doing God's, whatever that happens to be, you're opening up the energy channels of your body a little bit like peeling an onion. Movement 1 gets the outer stuff of the onion. Movement 2, you start going closer in. And movements 3, 4, and 5 continue this until by the end of movement 6 or 7, you're right in the center of the onion. And you have actually gotten what the whole Qi thing of God's is. But when you are first starting, you focus on certain things to a great extent so that you clear out and then develop what is in each layer of the onion. Later on, all the layers of the onion in every single movement simultaneously activate. But before they can simultaneously activate, they really have to separately activate. So otherwise, it is very hard to combine them. This goes back to the fundamental Taoist principle of separate and then combine. Now we're going to start looking a little bit at movement 4. Its primary purpose is to open your left and right channels. Now, what exactly does that mean? Well, first of all, when you start talking about really opening up your left and right channels, that is something you would have usually done in spiraling energy body. But let's just talk about your left and right channels in the body from the shoulder's nest down to your quad. So we're not going to be too concerned about them as they flow on through the arms and legs at the moment. What you're trying to do initially is to get the energy to run up and down your skin until it starts penetrating deeper and deeper, until finally it is on the left and right channels themselves. And this is setting up movements 5 and 6, where you'll take the energy from your left and right channels and bring it into your central channel. And this will activate your central channel. Don't expect the first few times you do this to actually be on your left and right channels. You want to start getting a very clear sense of the energy movement at the level of the skin. In all the rest of the Qigong, you're working from your etheric body towards your skin and going deeper and deeper until from your etheric body you are directly activating the left and right channels, which is the main point, because the left and right channels activate thousands of smaller channels in your body. But you can't go to them directly. You have to open up your body to be ready to be able to do it and then integrate it. So let's look at something else. This movement is very strong in developing your sense of the 70% rule. You are starting up and you're standing up and folding down, and obviously that's going to use your qua and everything else. But the tendency is going to be for you to try and push going lower and using your quads. You have to release your qua so that the buttocks and your legs release to bend, not that you push them down. They have to release, because in that releasing, not only will you go lower, but you will ensure that your energy goes through your legs actually down to your feet and to the ground. So that's kind of an important point. Another point that's useful is that as you're doing this, you can start becoming aware of your etheric body. For example, when your hands come up and start to go down the center along your left and right channels, you want to start having the sense of pushing your etheric body down. And in that pushing down, that's connecting your left and right channels and letting the energy, getting the energy to penetrate all the way through your legs. And likewise, as your hands spread out to the sides, you're taking your etheric field that is very close to your body and opening it up so that it becomes stronger. And then once it becomes stronger, then you're going to lift and activate that field. Then you're going to bring it back to your left and right channels and take it down. So we're talking about working with the etheric body, but you don't work with the etheric body in this way in Dragon and Tiger or Energy Gates or in any of the other Qigong, but you do in God's, because it's more complete and thorough way to work with the etheric body. Now, one other thing, what we're trying to do with the qua as you bend and stretch is to get all the muscles and fascia and tissue and your psoas muscle to move smoothly and evenly with this movement down into your legs and back up again. So when later on you start actually energetically opening and closing the center of the qua, your body will provide no resistance to the energy that is being generated by that. So this part of bending and stretching the qua is really going to be about preparing your body to be able to energetically open and close. Later on, without trying to go through a concrete wall. Rather, you want it to be as if you're trying to go through water, which is very easy. Remember that the point of Qigong is to benefit your body and your mind. So these are the main points that it's helpful to understand before we start. So we're just going to do the basic movement now, and we'll do the transition probably next week, because there's something there that will need to be added that makes it easier. So the first thing I'm going to do is just to demonstrate movement 4, and I know you all know it already, but I want you to just really watch me as I do this. So stand up. And I just want you to just flow through movement 4 like I just did a moment ago. And I'm going to just talk about some of the points here that you're going to be moving through. So you want to think of the back of your hands going out until you reach what you feel is the boundary of your etheric body. And don't worry if you don't get it exactly at first. Over time, as you practice, you will. In the beginning, you're just not sure what it feels like. But after you do it for a while, all of a sudden, you can feel it like a wall. And as your elbows rotate down as your arms come up, more or less out to your sides, palms up. That rising movement should also open up your lower back. And what is important about the elbows rotating as they rise is that the elbow rotates to face downward, connecting to the earth. As you continue this circular movement, and your hands come in until your upper arms and forearms are parallel, and your palms are somewhere above your head, if that's reasonable for you. being aware of your 70%. And then your palms go down because you are bending from your qua. The important point here is that you do not move your hands down and then move your qua. Your qua going down is what moves your arms and hands down. And as they go down, they must align with the left and right channels as you condense the chi into them. Be aware that there is a constant rotation of the elbows. They never stop. As you go down, that's being accompanied by your chi going right through your legs. And your hands go down to somewhere around your lower dantian. Be careful that you don't stick your butt out. Just let your back tilt forward a bit if you need to. This is basically a qua fold. But if your release down takes you beyond that limit, then you might very slightly lean forward into a squat. Okay, pause and relax. Anybody have a question in there at this point?
Yeah, I got a question, David.
Okay, go.
About kind of pacing when coming back up. I find it takes a longer amount of time to connect with the extent of your etheric body, but once you do, it's not difficult to maintain that connection. So should you maintain the slow pace it took to establish that connection at the bottom when you first start to rise and spread your arms out all the way up, or once you make that connection, kind of go back to the pace you were moving at?
You don't need to keep it slow, no.
Okay.
And eventually you won't have to slow down to feel your etheric body either. But that may be down the road.
Right. Okay.
Yep. Any other questions? Okay. We'll do a little bit more of this in a minute. So in the human body, in terms of its moving and in terms of not having problems, try and understand something. Your elbow is a lever to your shoulder blades. Bill's been waiting for this. And your shoulder blades provide a direct pressure on your lungs and to your heart. So this movement of the elbow in movement 4 is very much related to the movement, not only related, but directly connected to the movement of the shoulder blade. So I'm going to just do one arm for a moment, just while I talk about this. So when you, oh, here, let me change my camera. I always forget. I needed, that wasn't what I wanted, was it? I need an assistant to, there we go.
There you go.
So yeah. When, actually I should probably pin this too, so you can really see what I'm doing. Get out of here. So, as I said, I'm just going to do one arm so that you can just focus on that for a moment. So, as the arm goes out, the shoulder blade is going out. But then as it rises and the elbow rotates down, the shoulder blade goes in and then it goes out.
Mhm.
And it's the movement of the shoulder blade that really allows the elbow to move. So if you watch my elbow, you can see that it never stops. And basically, it is always facing or connecting down, 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 down. Now, one of the things I wanted to mention for Bill and Joanne is that when you came up to here, I could see you trying to come to parallel, and what was happening was your hands were coming in, and I'm not sure whether your elbows were quite getting to the left and right channels or not. And that is kind of an issue, but bringing the elbows forward. So in other words, when you get up to here, you don't want to be here with this movement because you can't get in there to make the arms parallel. So you have to be aware that this is extended. And while you're bending, still the arms are not close to the body. They're out from the body. And when you reach that point where the elbows have to move out, which they do, there comes a point where in order to go down, your elbows have to spread and the hands stay on the left and right channels. They don't come in. That's really kind of an important piece is finding how you keep the hands on the left and right channels and not allow them to drift into the center in this movement. Anybody have a question about that?
No, I don't think so.
That's
Sorry.
helpful.
I don't think so.
So I did that. So without knowing exactly how your shoulder blades are moving, it will drive you nuts trying to do this movement of the elbows. You have to keep in mind, it is the ability of the elbow to be moving from one direction to another that requires that the shoulder blade is making the exact same movement so that the two are oiling each other. And that's rather than grinding against each other. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Is that you?
Ted. Ted. I'm good, except I'm in the middle of a class. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. You too. Bye. Sorry, that was my chimney guy I've been trying to connect to for
Oh,
about 6 weeks. So, okay.
all right.
So we're going to do movement 4 again. And really, this is more focused on the elbows at the moment. So stand up and find your good, comfortable position. And obviously, the first thing is to make sure that your elbows are going down, facing down as the arms rise. Then the elbows curve inwards at the top. So that by the time you reach the top, the tips of your elbows are facing the ground and the arms are parallel. So as your arms go down, your elbows have to stay facing down. So it's keeping the shoulder blades moving inward as the arms come down that help you do that. And as your hands go out to the sides, your elbows are going to have to rotate and your shoulder blades have to rotate with them. So they're beginning to go out as you separate at the bottom to your etheric body. And when you go down the center, you should clearly feel you are pressing chi down to the ground. Make sure you have a smooth rotation between the back of your hand facing the air or the palm of your hand facing the air as they move. As your hands come down, make sure your perineum is open because that's normally when your legs may collapse in and close your perineum. So make sure it stays open. And then it opens up just a little bit more to come up at the sides. So as you're going down and your qua closes, you want to feel the chi from your perineum going down your legs. And when your qua opens, the chi from your perineum is going up your torso. As your arms sink, see if you can get your chi to go all the way to your feet. And then as your hands go out to the sides, spread your etheric body from your feet out to the sides. And then as your hands rise, bring your chi up your etheric body from your feet to your head. So in your etheric body, you're doing three things. One, you're moving the chi to go to your feet or below. Two, you're making the chi go sidewards from your thighs to open up your etheric body to the side. And three, you're having your etheric body open from the top of your head through your torso, through your qua and legs down to the ground. So those are the outer movements of the chi you're trying to have movement for control. Okay, so bring your hands down and relax. If you have a mirror available, you might do this in front of a mirror a little bit, just to really see where your hands and arms are. Okay. So there are two ways that you can work on this. The first way is just to go piece by piece and bring your chi down your body piece by piece. And then at the very bottom, hardwire it and keep some chi in the bottom of your feet. And then raise the rest up your body. It should still be very present in the bottom of your feet. So one way is to get used to moving it through the different sections of your body. But the second way is to make sure that the chi is connected while you're moving it through sections of your body. It also being in your feet. Or when you get there, to the top. When you get the chi to the top of your head, let it stay in the top of your head also as you're bringing it down your body and to your feet. And so by doing this enough, what you're going to find is that your chi is going to continuously be present in the top of your head and the bottom of your feet. It's never going to be that one's going to stop and then the other one starts. But in the beginning, that's how you have to do it. You have to make one very clear. Down is down and up is up. When you've done that for a long enough time, you're going to be able to maintain the chi in the crown of your head and the bottom of your feet throughout the whole exercise, which is the point of the game. You could have an imbalance from one side to the other in what you're attempting to do. And so you want to make them even, to make them balanced, rather than favor your strong side and forget about your weak one. Also, I would still recommend 20 minutes a day if you can, but don't pressure yourself to do too much. If you want to do more than 20 minutes a day, I think that's fine, but also be aware of not overdoing it. So, questions about any of this?
No, I don't think so.
Apparently, it's all,
Practice.
all perfectly clear. All you need to do is practice.
We got it, David.
The
If we
goal
can't
is
do-
clear. I mean, doing it's a different story, you know?
Right, we know what we're doing wrong. See, that's a good thing. I know that my body movement is a little jagged, for example, but yeah.
Yeah,
I get up to the top before I should, so my body does before my arms do. So yeah, I know what I have to work on.
Yeah, one thing I was doing physically at the beginning and have been doing all along is opening my hands sort of out, going up, and I've noticed you aren't really, I was kind of doing this, but it seems that it's more like this. Just
mhm.
in terms of where my palm is facing. Is this?
Well, it's a slow rotation.
Yeah.
So in other words, it's not get to here and turn the palm up, obviously.
Uh-huh.
So you get to here and then it continues to rotate as you're going up, and it's rotating as it comes down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's extend it from one of the things to remember, because one of the things that I recognize that I sometimes have done is that I'll go too low with my arm. So you're thinking of this movement from here as a bend. You're bending, and so the hand goes down to about the level of your lower dantian and then begins to extend, and it extends all the way up, and then it bends all the way down. Okay. Part of that continuous, and the rotation obviously changes pace as it goes
Right.
along through that, but it's continuously moving.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions at the moment? Okay, well,
I think so.
hopefully that'll give you a little new things to work on.
Things to work on. Yep.
Great, thank you.
Great. Thank you, David. Very good.
Say hi to Madeline, Bill.
I will, and hello to Jane also.
Thank you, will do.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, Bill.
So what's happening with your Wu Yuxiang style,
Can we go
Adam?
over- I always get the names wrong. In the beginning of the third paragraph, the like stroke wild horse's mane. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Yeah. The one with the horse in the name.
I got it.
Because that posture continues to challenge me.
Yeah. Yeah, but I wish you were here so I could
Yeah.
work with you. Why don't you start the third paragraph and let me just see that up through that point?
Sure.
Joanne, you can observe also.
I'm gonna observe, yeah, I'm not, yeah.
Hold on, I'm just gonna move to where there's more room here.
Okay.
Find a spot somewhere here. That might work. So if I'm facing that way.
Mhm.
So what are you feeling there? What are you, what's the hang up for you?
I think energetically, I feel like everything cuts off when I do that posture.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Like it doesn't feel very, I guess, full.
Uh-huh. So are you tensing up as you go into it?
I'm trying to be as relaxed as I can. But I feel like there's also a big separation between the upper and lower body during the application part. So I feel like this is pretty synced up. And then once we take that step, I kind of feel like my shoulders are just sliding across the upper torso, and there's kind of nothing else going on. I'm not getting.
So two things I would say. One thing is you want to feel the shoulder spreading.
Okay.
And moving away, ideally moving away from the ribs.
Okay.
In the yang part of that. But the other thing is that the energy is coming up from that follow step foot. That's where the power is coming in here.
Okay.
So it the forward foot is simply rooting into the earth and the energy is going down. It's that follow step that's drawing the energy up. So I think we haven't worked very much with the legs, but that is where the energy is coming from. And if you can feel the energy coming from the leg up and out, I think that can open up the connection between the top and the bottom.
Okay. Okay, I'll work on that. I think what you said about the scapula is helping,
Mm.
focusing on them separating, because I think I've been focusing on them both moving in the direction of the application. So
No,
like one going out away from the spine, the other one sliding in,
No.
almost like
yeah, they're
number
working.
4 Dragon Tiger, you know, where we're like sliding back and forth.
Yeah, no, that's working against each other in this case.
Yeah. Okay.
That's interesting. When I was practicing this form this morning, I was just working on opening and closing because I didn't feel like doing anything else. But that's really, I think, one of the key things in this, because you want that opening to be clear through the whole body. If you just open the shoulder blades, that helps,
Mm-hmm.
but the opening has to come through the whole body in order to really move the energy from the feet up and out.
Mm. Yeah. Okay.
You know, another thing, just related to this, that I realized that actually I haven't, I think, probably talked to you guys about, because I'm not sure I should have covered it when we did energy gates, and I'm not sure I really clearly did, and that is opening the feet. There are two areas in the feet that are really important, energetic and in terms of blood circulation too. One is the area of the Achilles tendon, because there is a major vein that goes back to the heart there, as well as on the inside of a large artery that comes down. So keeping the back of the leg open and soft is really important for the blood circulation, but also for the chi circulation.
Mm.
And in front, the front of the leg, of the ankle, right where the ankle and the foot join, there are, of course, two tendons, parallel tendons coming down there. And the space in between those needs to be kept soft. And that's the key to the energy getting to the toes. So one of the things that we sort of forget about and is pretty difficult is keeping particularly those areas of the feet soft and open as we're moving. And it's not easy. It's very hard, actually, because we're standing on our feet.
Right.
And we tend to tighten up. Sometimes people try to grip the ground with their feet. What's really interesting about the feet is that we have greater stability and energy movement when we find them really relaxed and softly sinking into the earth. So that's kind of important when we're beginning to talk about energy circulation in the form, and in Qigong, obviously, too. So I'll throw that one out to you too.
Yeah.
I think being aware of what's going on with the feet when you're trying to get energy to move in the body is really important.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Obviously the knees are important also, but I don't have a feeling with the two of you that the knees are a particular issue. But the feet, I think are, I mean, I have to say that my awareness of the feet has grown over the last few years, and I've been doing this a long time. Part of that is that nobody ever made me aware of it before.
No.
But it really makes a difference.
Okay.
Any other issues at all? Maybe that's enough to play with when you're practicing to work on your feet.
Work on the feet, yeah, need to think about that, yeah,
Yeah.
Good,
good.
right? Well, hang in there, Joanne. You must be
Yeah, I'm a
overwhelmed.
little overwhelmed these days, yes. But trying hard. Yeah, I have next week, what's next week, the 23rd? If it still happens, there's an international Zoom call I need to be on at the same time. So I usually try to avoid that. I will confirm that with you this week. So I might not be at class.
Okay, that
Might
will,
have to do that, but I'll, everything is a little up in the air.
okay. So that's the day before we leave for California to see our kids.
Oh, you are the trip you didn't make before.
The trip we didn't make before, we're taking.
Great. Oh, good. I'm glad. Yeah, good.
We're gonna go
Okay,
ahead
so
and
you're
go.
gonna- Okay, and then you'll be back.
Well, we won't have class on the 30th.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry that my thing is on the 30th. Okay. All right, I will let you know if I have to do this thing next Wednesday or not. I'll confirm that. I'll know a little, I'll know more closer. I haven't seen any update on it in a while, but okay.
Okay.
Who knows? Yeah, everything's a little up in the air. Okay,
No kidding. Well,
Yeah.
good luck.
Okay.
Hang in there.
okay, thank you. All right.
Well,
Be
Bye.
well,
that's it, guys.
everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye, David.
Bye, Adam. Take care.
You too now.